What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Been a minute since I've done any talking in the gym. Today we got an SBD day, primary deadlifts. I guess you can say primary bench now. Did some switching of the split. So primary deadlifts and bench, and then secondary squats. Nothing too crazy. We're on week 2. Gonna go to a triple at 529. Hit a couple drop-off triples after that. 529 should be RPE 7-ish, hopefully. Doing a little experimentation in my warm-ups here with maybe a higher hip position in the pull, because my my RDL is quite strong and it's not that far off from my competition deadlift, so it's kind of like indicating maybe I need to pull with a higher hip position to start. I don't know. We'll see how it feels once we get to heavier weights, but I just did it with the 1 red and it felt okay. So see how this 2 reds goes. I don't know how some people train with hoodies on the whole time. I find this miserable, but I think I'm gonna leave it on for 1 more set. I just don't like feeling bulky, you know. Oh, and I can't get my belt on. Belt's all caught in the knees. Last warm-up moved pretty good at 485, the higher hip. So top set loaded, 529. We're gonna see if that feels just as good with that slightly higher hip position. Just finished up my deadlifts, as you guys saw. I think the key is actually thinking about the higher hip position in my mind, but actually still wedging in really hard. It kind of creates just more tightness and makes the wedge more effectively. And my hips might be a little higher than before, but it's not as intentionally high, if that makes sense. Because that last set, on the last rep of the last set, I feel like I really found it. And the bar really just started kind of floating off the ground effortlessly. So we're going to practice that some more. But for now, we're going to move on to some bench. My last warm up here, something I'm starting to do as of today, is get through my warm-ups, or at least most of them, without wrist wraps. Because I had cluster triples, getting the wrist wraps on and off between sets with only 30 seconds rest a few days ago was really hard to do time-wise. And also the wrist wraps kind of created a constriction, obviously constricting, but a blood flow restriction type of feeling. My hands were burning. So if I can do those sets without wrist wraps, I think that'll help. There's some slight discomfort when I do it right now. Not nothing crazy, but it's probably going to correct my bench form overall. So I'll see it as a win-win. If I can get through those sets and have better technique, then, probably something I should have done a long time ago. Ooh. That's the best that weight has felt in a long time. So I got a 3x3 back down. Gonna try to knock it out pretty quickly. Got a client coming in here in about 12 minutes, so bang him out. All right, so foolishly on those first 2 sets, I had one rack higher than the other. So my unrack felt kind of weird on all of them, but RPE wise, I think they all went decently. So I take this last set, the lightest set of 5. This is high bar, obviously. I think I'm going to try narrowing my stance a little bit because I feel like just like a little bit of power out of the bottom. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes, I guess. This goes out to Brady. All that shit talking he's been doing. I won't get 11. Yo, so obviously I didn't film an outro while I was at the gym. Just left. Seatbelt. I was rushing out of there at the end. Just totally forgot. Yeah, so all in all, super solid session. My high bar technique was not the best today. I felt I got pitched forward pretty hard on more than the amount of reps that I find to be acceptable. I think maybe just now that I'm starting to get into heavier weights on those and I'm so used to squatting in flat shoes that the heels are starting to become like a detriment to the technique. We'll keep them in there at least for the remainder of the block. If my coach keeps high bar squats in next block, then I'll make a decision. Maybe I'll go into flats in those just to kind of, I guess, dial in slightly more specificity or something. I don't know. I'll just squat better that way. The hack squat set, man, that was super fun. I've been getting one RPE 10 hack squat since my last competition every week, so I've just been having fun pushing those. And there's I called him out, one of the other coaches at the gym. We've been kind of not even really a friendly competition, just calling each other out on Instagram for no reason, but
he squats way more than me, so you know, I guess it doesn't it doesn't really matter if I out hack squat him. But it's fun to kind of really push, especially when you're in a mode where we can push like hypertrophy movements a little bit harder, you know, further out from comp. So having that little extra motivation, right? Like he did the same weight, 405, 4 plates for a set of 10 on his last day, and I was like, well, shit, I got to go for 11. And I mean, had I not had that like number in my mind, I probably wouldn't even have went for 10. I probably would have kept it at 9 reps, because that 9th rep was pretty hard. But we got 10, and I mean, all in all, that means I'm progressing them a lot, because last week I only got 8 reps. So, and that's after some volume as well. So like I did a 2x6 at like RPE 7 before that, and I pushed my high bars harder today than I did last week, with last week being a semi-deload kind of week. But yeah, so deadlifts, I already said this before, I was experimenting with the higher hip height, and the key for sure is definitely like going in with intention of higher hip, but still wedging in really hard, and then it kind of like floats the bar just right. I was setting up a little bit too close to the bar before the aggressive wedge. Like without the aggressive wedge, I think it was the right spot to be, but my knees would travel forward a little bit more, and kind of just kicking the bar out just ever so slightly. So, I mean, these are things that don't matter that much, but as long as I'm training hard and I don't let like my obsessiveness over like trying to perfect the technique get in the way of that, then it's fine, right? So I still train hard no matter what. I will say today with the higher hip height thing, it kind of took me out of rhythm when I deadlift. So I probably could have been pushing a little bit hard on each individual rep. But I think next week, now I've, you know, dialed in a little bit of this, at least conceptually, where I want my deadlift technique to go next. There's always a next. Technique is always evolving, right? On some level. It may not even be large enough to be visible by the eye, but I think internally we're always building that. But that's I guess a side rant. I think next week we can just like worry about pushing the weight as fast as we can within that technique, especially once I warm up with the technique and lock it in. Bench, man, I feel like I'm finally getting my bench to move again. It feels like it's been fucking not good for a long time, or at least not progressing at a reasonable rate, considering, you know, I've been putting on body weight this whole time over the past year. So I think, I don't know, I've made some technique changes. I think those are for sure helping. We added in that 4th bench day, and even though it was stupid light this week, or like it was technically part of week 1, but you know, 4 days, whatever, I think you get it. Even though it was stupid light, maybe there is something to that, just getting some extra touches. And you know, we are going to progress that day up a little bit, as my body gets used to benching 4 days a week again. But I think I've rambled long enough on this. So appreciate you guys checking out the channel. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe.